I downloaded a philosophy. So I want to tell you about it. I'm going to tell you the complete story. And when I say I downloaded, that means I received information because I receive spiritual information and guidance. We all do, but not all of us will pay attention or believe it's real or whatever it was. I mean, and we struggle with that. More people are beginning to understand that now, or waking up to something within them or their spiritual side, because the world is moving, and if that's part of who you are, it's going to be coming up for you. You'll start to notice it. And I gave out copies of my book. I wanted people to read my book, and I'm glad some people did. I received a comment on Facebook, a thank you on Facebook this morning. She said, "This book helped me get out of a slump." And she was talking about this book called Overcoming Fear. I didn't talk about it much. I released it in 2019. It took forever for me to write it because I didn't want to expose everything. I didn't want to talk about everything that I've done, that I've gone through. I didn't want to do it, and I also didn't want to be judged. But if you read the book, you will see that I had a crazy life, and I've done so many things, and I've moved through and healed so many things that most people would think that doesn't make sense, which is sometimes why I didn't talk about it or to tell other people, because they wouldn't believe it, because I did things that were beyond medical capabilities or knowledge, or I mean, it shouldn't have happened. There's so many other stories. And I read the book the other night. I didn't read it. I had it read to me. I don't read real well. Most of you know that. I've talked about my ADHD that I did not discover until I was 70 years old. But I was told that that happened for a reason too. Otherwise, if I had been studying and reading everything like everybody else, I would have believed that I was copying, or I was an imposter, or I was plagiarizing, which was something that did come many, many years ago. Someone told me that they felt I was plagiarizing Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote Conversations with God. And I said, no, that's not me. And so I thought maybe I'm not going to read anybody else or listen to anyone else because I want to know what's coming through me. There have been many spiritual leaders who have received information this way. I should have accepted it because I grew up in Christian Science. Mary Baker Eddy did the same thing, and she did it because of the life that she led. And we all are meant to do that. But it shows up at different times in our lives because we each have an evolutionary journey that we're on. You have something that you're brought to the world to do, and a lot of times you don't do it because you're afraid of it, or you don't believe it, or you doubt it, and all of that. I did that forever. And that's why I want to work with others so that isn't occurring anymore, so that's not happening for you. But if you go through the book, you will hear many, many stories of all of the different things that I went through and that I figured out. I made attachments to my family. I made attachments to all of my behavior. I was able to figure that stuff out. But the way I was able to do it was because I downloaded information. I received information from Wilhelm, and I used it. That was it. And I've done it in most of my life, but I only consciously did it knowing what I was doing starting in 1988. So it's been a long time. And then I'll tell you what happened, why I know that I've downloaded a philosophy, because it keeps showing up. There's certain things that are not accidental. I understand what is happening in the world. And people go, how do you know this? Because nobody else is seeing this. And I knew a lot of people wouldn't understand it, but I had to talk about it. Before I signed off my computer last night, I made a post and I said, I can't join your program, I can't join your group, and I'm going to not be, I just said I just had to apologize because I have to finish getting this philosophy out because I know it's too valuable and it's going to help so many people and it's going to help the world, and so I have to get it out. So I can't keep doing all these other things, which I've been doing. I've been wasting a lot of time, and then I can't get things done, and I don't have an assistant right now who's helping me get things out. And I said, I don't want to do any of that. I have to work on this because this is too valuable. And I can say that now because it's changed my life. And I know it would change the lives of anyone who did it. And it's already happening because I've seen it. I'll tell you how this happened. Now, I've been doing this work a long time. I didn't talk about it much. I kept all my stuff separate, kind of, which was the division that existed within me. And we're all supposed to heal the divisions that exist within us, stuff we've been denying, doubting about who we are, being fearful, all of that stuff. We're supposed to be leaving that now because the world is changing. We're evolving. But it's uncomfortable because we have to let go of all of our old stuff. We all have it. No, there's no one born who doesn't come in with something. We may camouflage it. We may look different to other people because we put on a wonderful face of who we are, but nobody sees what's really underneath and how terrified we are. That's what goes on. And so I have known this forever. I sat with clients for more than 30 some years, and I would see that they didn't believe anything about themselves. And I'm going, why? Because I could see it. They couldn't see it. And I knew they couldn't see it. And I understood that it was going to take time to break down their limited thinking and what they've been telling themselves for so long. I didn't understand when I was doing this. I didn't understand neuroscience then, but I was using it. Didn't know how I was doing that, just like I didn't know what I had. In 2020, I started receiving different information, as many of you might know, about the changing in our world, the restructuring. And they said, you're being restructured, all of us. And they said, what you're supposed to do is love yourself. That doesn't make sense. Then I started finding scientific evidence that said, oh yeah, that would work. If we had more people who would come to understand their importance in the world, love themselves, move through all their gunk, that's what I call it, and start to live a life that they wanted to have, becoming successful, prosperous, happy, having all the money they want. All of that stuff is possible if they decide to get out of their way. I had to do that. But it was challenging because I'm an introvert, so I don't like talking, I don't like going out and doing things, and I'm intuitive. And if you've studied, I talked about this before, if you look at Carl Jung, and he talks about that's my personality is the most difficult kind to have because we know things, but then we don't want to talk to you, don't want to tell you, or I'm definitely not going to go out and approach you and tell you anything. I just don't do it. And but now I have to, because this is how I'm going to spend the rest of my life. I'm getting ready. I said I want to have things in place by my 72nd birthday, which is not that far away, in November. So I said, let me just kind of change things because I don't want to do all this other stuff that's distracting me from really helping a lot of people and helping the people who are in my program. And that's what I feel the worst about, because I have to finish putting everything together and working with them, because I'm developing something that is going to take them, it's going to transform their lives, and I know that it'll happen because I've done it, but I have to have the time to work with them, and I have to break my old habit. My old habit, we all have to break something. Mine has been giving away everything. All my friends and family will tell you that's what's gone on, and giving away everything and not appreciating what I had. I've done that my entire life. When I listened to the book the other night, because I had my iPad read it to me because that was quicker, and then when I listened to it, there were many things in there I didn't remember. That happens all the time. I didn't remember that I had put them in there, but there was so much more that was edited out that I didn't put in because I thought, oh, they're not going to believe all of that, and let me not put everything in. And it was also challenging for me to rehash it, to bring it up, except I know how valuable it was, because that's why no one can sit in front of me with any sort of problem or difficulty that they have, and I wouldn't have an answer or guide to be able to guide you to the solution. It's just not possible. That's why I say I guarantee all the work in my program. That's because I know, because I've done it. When you live a life like I have, you come away, if you're going to survive, if you're going to live, you come away with skills that are just undeniable because you lived, and that's what I've done. This is why I wanted people to read the book, because you wouldn't understand. I mean, and again, not all of it's there, because there were some crazy things that I had moved through that were not supposed to happen. I talked about a little bit because I didn't want people to know this, because I was I talked about being HIV positive when I was in 1990, and we didn't know that there weren't the things to heal people, to keep you alive, and somehow I went for years and years and years with not needing anything. And they're like, how's that happening? And I've done that many times. I've been in hospitals where they had to study me. How's he doing this? We have mind-body connection. And once you understand that and get out of your way, you start to heal. You even start to look younger. You start to feel better. And people say, how are you so youthful and young at this age? Because I decided to get rid of my crap. That's all. And I'm going to take other people and help them with that, because you only suffer from anything because you're not willing to become your authentic self. And you came in with baggage, and the baggage came from your past, the life that you live now, but also your ancestors, your family, all of that. That's in you. That's your DNA. But it's changing now because the world is changing, and it's going to keep doing that for about another year or more until we start to settle down. So let me tell you why I did this when I did, because I knew that it was going to be a little more chaotic in the world. But we shift that when we start loving ourselves and loving other people and doing what we came to do in the world and becoming prosperous. This change is generational. And this is why you're seeing all the difficulties in other parts of the world, wherever you might live. But the Russia and Ukraine is a great example of that. You think of David and Goliath, that's what's happening. And that came out in one of my channeling sessions. They said it's not going to be the same. It's going to look different. And now we're seeing that go on. Everything that's happening in the world right now, I've written about it, and you can find it in Any Advice for Today. I wrote about it more than 2 years ago. And so I knew what was happening, and I knew that I was supposed to help people get better. That means allowing them to evolve and live these magnificent lives. But I had to get out of my way and stop holding back, just like you do. All of us, because we're not going to be the same. Nothing that we saw before in our lives is going to be the same. You may not see that now because a lot of people are still finishing their summer or doing other things, and I understand that. But there are certain people who you know that you're stuck, you know that you can't get to what you were supposed to do in your life, or you can't figure it out, or you don't believe that you have a purpose. You do. Everyone does. I've never worked with someone where we didn't reach that place. And so I'm just saying this because I know that I'm going to be speaking about this. I'm going to tell the full story in my presentation on Saturday. And I'm going to put this, I've been hiding out so much more because I knew I had something that was so valuable, and my little hiding out is keeping away from people. But the world needs what I have. And I can say that now because I doubted it at first. Let me tell you this part of the story, because you may not know this. I was walking, this is in 2020, I started receiving different information. I knew what was going on. I started changing things then. But in 2021 is when I was told, I'm walking down the street and I was told, we gave you everything you needed to know in 2012. That sounded insane to me. But that's why I had to test it, because I found it wasn't. It was all there. And everyone has used it, has found the same result. And they're like, how is this happening? It's because I had the ability to channel, to get in touch with ancient wisdom, that's what's in there, so that's why it works. And it's combined with modern science. It uses techniques that we know work now, because we always evolve. So that's why I downloaded a philosophy that's a combination of everything that's existed before, but it's new. Because the philosophy is this, just so you get it. If you want to come into this program, I want you to understand, every person was born with value and worth, every single one. But we have the restrictions and the limitations that we've come in with, or that we've created during our lives, that all we have to do is look at them a different way and change it, because everything we experience is in our mind. That's it. Everything you experience. You don't live in a physical body forever. Your consciousness is always existed. And so now that's being awakened. And so many people are going to be a little afraid or uncomfortable unless they decide to own who they are and become their authentic selves. And that's what this program does. But I wanted to tell you that's what I've been doing. And yes, I downloaded a philosophy.